Welcome to the Calexico City Council Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Finance Authority Planning Commission Special Meeting. Today is Tuesday, January the 27th, 2026. The meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Please respond when I call your name. Mayor Legaspi?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calderon is absent. Councilmember Marquez?
Present.
Councilmember Thalinda is absent. Councilmember Nuricumbo?
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Can we please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance? Councilmember Adriana Marquez, can you lead us? Thank you. Do I have a approval of the agenda? Approval, do I have a motion for approval for the agenda?
A motion. Second.
Approval of the agenda was motioned by Councilmember Nuricumbo, second by Marquez. Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Mayor Legaspi?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calderon is absent. Councilmember Marquez? Oh. I'm sorry.
Let it be noted that Mayor Pro Tem Calderon arrived at 6:32 p.m.
Mayor
Continue.
Pro Tem Calderon? Approval of the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Marquez?
Yes.
Councilmember Thalinda is absent. Okay.
Let it be noted that Councilmember Thalinda arrived at 6:32 p.m.
Councilmember Thalinda?
Here. Yes.
And yes.
Yes.
And Councilmember Nuricumbo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Now we're going on to the public comment section.
This is the time for the public to address the city council on the special agenda items only. The city clerk will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or to delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. Group commentators may be requested to limit their group comments to 15 minutes. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. The mayor and city council reserve the right to adjust this time limit based on the number of speakers who wish to address the mayor and the city council.
Thank you, City Attorney. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes. Eugenio Ramos?
Good afternoon. Eugenio Ramos, 925 Salvador Green Street, here in Calexico. I just want to make a comment. I want to thank Lisa and Diana for working with Caltrans throughout this year. And first off, this is something that you guys have worked throughout this time, and you guys brought it and made it a city issue. And I applaud you guys for that. Hopefully we can, as a city, can move forward. I know there's differences up here, but I think we're all adults and we can all move forward for the betterment of Calexico.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos. Do we have another comment?
No more comments.
Moving on to discussion item action on the
Mayor, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Are we doing it in a public hearing form? No? Okay. I wanted to ask because the intent of the meeting was to get input from the business owners that I see faces here, and maybe they don't understand the part of coming in, to do the public comment or do well, it wasn't public comment because it's a special meeting, but when they come in and speak, so that we can invite them to come up and speak, because in the end, that's what we want. We want their input.
Yes, and since it's a special meeting, I'm following the special meeting draft. I mean, of course, that's where the comments are going to be coming in when they're asked to come up here. And everyone is more than welcome to come up here and give your comments.
Mayor, I think that what the councilwoman was suggesting is maybe moving the public comment portion to after the presentation. But you guys can do that by making a motion and second it, then adopting it.
Okay, so we'll move the public comments until the discussion item is stated. Okay. Obviously, we have a,
So I'm
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
motion-
sorry.
you're gonna need a
Yeah.
motion and a
Sorry.
second.
Yeah, I motion to do just that.
okay, and do I have a second? Okay, motion by Ms. Councilmember Noticumbo, second by Mayor Pro Temp Calderon. Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Legaspi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Calderon,
Yes.
Councilmember Marquez,
Yes.
Councilmember Talinda,
Yes.
Councilmember Noricumbo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Going on to discussion item number 1, Calexico West Port of Entry Traffic Circulations Plan. Presentation will be given by,
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm going to pass the mic to Jesus to provide comments, and then I'll follow up with perhaps a few other comments, and then we will provide the presentation. Jesus?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members and residents and business owners of Calexico. Tonight, we have a presentation of a circulation plan prepared by Caltrans and ICTC, and therefore, if it's eventually adopted by the city of Calexico, may be implemented fairly quick as it has been pre-approved by Caltrans. Very important to clarify that the purpose of this presentation is to solicit public comments. Can we start, please, the presentation? I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just going to add one other comment, just stress. Number one, we're here to get public comments on the plan, and there's a lot of engineering aspects of the plan that we don't necessarily want to get into all of that detail tonight. This is the first of possibly many outreach meetings in the future, but I want to stress that one of the main things we want to walk away in this meeting and future meetings doing outreach on this plan is the property owners, business owners, and residents, your thoughts on the alternative to essentially divert the traffic when it's crossing into Mexico, instead of going down Imperial Avenue 111, diverting it over to Cesar Chavez and going that way. That's essentially what this plan is about. And we want your feedback on that because it's important. It's important to understand how the community feels about that plan very generally at a high level before we get into possibly implementing the plan and working on the details. So that's really one of the best comeaways that we can, takeaways that we can get from the public at this meeting and other outreach meetings is, how do you feel about the traffic going south on 111 to cross into Mexico, or turning right on 98, heading down the 98, crossing that way? Okay? So we're going to get into the presentation, and it's kind of a movie, so we won't hear boring staff talking about it, so we're going to push play.
May I add
And-
something really quick, Mayor?
yes.
Just so that people all are aware, Imperial Avenue is, most of us might know, but some might not, Imperial Avenue is part of Highway 111, so it's Caltrans right-of-way. So they decide on what happens there, as well as, is it Birch, 98? We call it Birch?
98.
Right, 98 and or Birch Avenue is also part of Caltrans right-of-way. So in essence, the presentation that they're going to give is what Caltrans approved that the city can do with their property.
Correct.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, administration, and those present. Tonight, the presentation is regarding the Calexico Circulation Plan. The purpose of this presentation is to solicit public comments. Background. In 2017-2018, the Imperial County Transportation Commission, ICTC, in partnership with the Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, and the City of Calexico obtained funding through Caltrans to develop a traffic circulation plan due to the construction of the new Calexico West Port of Entry. Calexico West Port of Entry Traffic Circulation Plan was presented to City Council in June of 2019 and October 2022. The alternative proposed addressed the city's goal of reducing city staff demand for traffic control and improved access to business located in the central area of Calexico by reducing traffic congestion on State Route 111. The proposed alternative was presented to City Council and on both occasions did not move forward. The proposed alternative introduces operational improvements for the new Calexico Port of Entry, focusing on channeling all southbound traffic heading to the Port of Entry through Cesar Chavez Boulevard. This would restrict motorists from queuing along SR 111, Imperial Avenue, turning onto 2nd Street, heading to the Port of Entry. Calexico current impacts. Businesses along SR 111, Imperial Avenue, Imperial Corridor are affected by the long queues. Local circulation is negatively impacted by the queues when trying to access local streets through Imperial Avenue. Delays in emergency services, daily use of traffic controllers along several intersections of both SR 111 and Cesar Chavez Boulevard. In addition, businesses west of 2nd Street have been affected as drivers are deterred to do shopping due to the long queues. The proposed alternative implement improvements that fits with the 2019 concept of the City of Calexico Traffic Circulation Plan. All motorists crossing to Mexico will access the Port of Entry through Cesar Chavez Boulevard only, leaving SR 111 and Imperial Avenue open for local traffic only. In addition, this will improve access to businesses on West 2nd Street. Proposed improvements. The existing barrier system on Cesar Chavez Boulevard will be shifted one lane over to accommodate 3 lanes for motorists to use when queuing. One lane would be designated for motorists going northbound on Cesar Chavez Boulevard. A barrier gate system is proposed to be installed along the temporary concrete barriers to provide emergency responders access to remove stalled or vehicles in need of assistance. Second Street left turn lane will be permanently removed, allowing only local traffic to use 2nd Street. The map in front of you demonstrates how changing pavement markings and signage will be leading to the Calexico West Port of Entry. This map demonstrates how double left turn lanes from Grand Street at Cesar Chavez Boulevard will be closed temporarily using a traffic control system when queues on Cesar Chavez Boulevard exceeds Grand Street. Calexico Circulation Plan, Cost and Implementation. Lead Agency. Calexico will be responsible for construction, inspection, and traffic control. Implementation. Caltrans has oversight of state property on SR 98 and SR 111. Calexico would implement under a Caltrans encroachment permit. Schedule. Once funded, administrative process is estimated at 10 months to begin work. Construction is estimated at 140 working days. Cost. This $4.2 million proposed alternative includes the manual barrel gate system, traffic control, restriping, and signage. And that concludes our presentation. The City of Calexico would like to thank the following agencies: the Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and the Imperial County Transportation Commission.
Mayor, I just wanted to also comment that we've passed out a sign-in sheet. Thank you so much. And if you could all, haven't had a chance to sign that, please do, because I can definitely see us following up with individuals if needed, or creating charrettes or groups that we can come speak to you either at your businesses or here at City Hall. So we're willing to dive into the details, one-on-one as much as possible and as much as you would like. So please, your information, your contact information would be appreciated, Mr. Horton. And with that, I'm going to give the mic over to Jesus if he has any other comments at this time, and then, Mayor, we're ready to solicit public input.
Yeah, no, that's the presentation, and basically, as previously stated, the idea is to get input, comments from, and even questions from the residents, from business owners. The questions will be put it on the list, and we are going to work on them, and we are going to get back to the residents. That's why it's so important, the signing sheet. And anyways, it is going to be published as any other public information. And the idea is, as previously stated, that just concentrate all the traffic through Cesar Chavez Boulevard. That is going to be, or the intention is to be more efficient, safer, and release the heavy load along Imperial Avenue for the businesses that are operating there. So that concludes my presentation, and we can start with the comments.
Are you going to go around that way?
Well, I was going to ask for public comments first and then council discussion.
I was just gonna, I wanted to add something as part of like the presentation, because we were, I was a little bit more involved with this last year, so I have a little bit more information, and I think that's important that you guys understand. So this proposal is temporary. So this is one of a few proposals that Caltrans submitted to the city of Calexico, and out of the three, this is the one that the city at that moment thought would be the best plan. And I say at that moment because there were various city managers, and then we didn't have the public works director when this proposal was selected. But this is supposed to be a temporary plan. The permanent plan is to build an overpass. So obviously an overpass is going to cost a lot of money. So this is only, like I said, it's a temporary plan. Eventually, as you know, we're able to get the funding, the ideal thing will be to build an overpass. I don't know if when the overpass is built, if we would go back to having the two, or we would leave it as it is. But that's the idea, is that this is temporary because how the businesses have been affected. And then just so you know, the entrance would be primarily through Imperial Avenue. So northbound Imperial Avenue, the idea is to showcase the businesses on Imperial Avenue, so that all our visitors coming in from Mexicali to either shop or commute, they're coming in through Imperial Avenue and exiting through the other side, so that they're not blocking all the businesses on the west side and the residences that, the residents that live in that area as well.
Thank you. Now we're gonna go to public comments, and then afterwards we'll go to council discussions, and obviously we'll have probably questions coming out of the comments. So, City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
No additional public comments.
Oh, okay. So we'll go to council discussion. Going to Mayor Pro Tem Alencio Calderon. Do you have anything to add?
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. As stated before, this study has been in effect since 2015. It was finally summarized in 2019, and we're just following up on it. It's a temporary, I guess it's a temporary solution to the problems we have throughout Imperial, especially in our peak hours of 4 p.m. through 8 p.m., Monday, Friday, Saturdays, and sometimes on Sundays. Again, there's a lot of things to think about. If the lines are going to go from Cesar Chavez to 98 to 111, we also have to understand that when these lines form, it's going to block the mall of Food for Less. It'll be difficult to go into Food for Less and other businesses there, and we're barely building that area. And these are some of the things that we have to consider before we actually implement this study. And again, we're here looking for your input. I know that the mayor and I have met with some of the businesses up in Imperial Avenue, and they do have an issue, with customers coming in, especially in the peak hours of traffic. So we're looking for your input to make sure that if we do decide to implement the study, we have covered all your concerns, and hopefully we can come up with a solution, temporary solution. I know that the long solution is a bridge, but that is probably, I'll be gone by the time that is actually formalized. So I know that ICTC is working on it, and hopefully very soon we can have at least some idea when that bridge will be constructed, or if it's going to be constructed. And at this point, I have no further questions, comments, that is, to this study. And I hope that I see a lot of business individuals here today, that you give us your input, because your input is very valuable to us. We want to make sure that we take care of all your businesses, and as it is, Calexico is dying every day, and hopefully we can bring in more revenue, but that requires you and us to work as a team. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Marquez, comments?
Councilmember Marquez apologizes because she had surgery, she had root canal. She has no comment.
Councilmember Thailenda, any comments?
This plan was actually not done in 2019. That was something else. This was released this summer. Caltrans has been working on it since last year. They actually came out, so this is updated with updated information according to what their traffic counts were as of last year, so not 2019. Just wanted to clear that up. So the plan also included a long-term plan. I'm curious to know why it just focused on the short-term plan and didn't discuss like the long-term in short. Yeah.
Yes, there is a longer-term plan. Tonight, we're just focusing on the one alternative, the short-term plan.
Okay, yeah, no, for me, it's important to share all the information because that plan was presented together with the short-term and the long-term plan so that the community can see what is going on in the planning realm, short-term, long-term. So I would have liked to have seen the long-term plan included. So next public outreach we have, let's make sure that we include all the information because it's a really good study that came out this summer. With that said, currently it's congested all over Calexico. In my opinion, I think that we need to try something different. A concern was expressed that if we redirect the traffic flow, that it's going to have an impact on businesses going west, north, so that area where Food for Less is, well, all of Calexico's impacted currently anyways. So it's hard to get on that side anyways. So this needs to be looked at its entirety and what's good for all the businesses, the entire city, not just businesses, but the quality of life for the community as well. That's what I have to add right now.
Thank you. Councilmember Nudukumbo, any comments?
Yes, that's correct. It's actually, as we have this discussion, I really hope that you guys come up and speak and give us your opinion. Just so you know how the process works, there's a little slip in the back, and you just fill out your information. You bring it here to the chief of police, and he'll give it to the clerk, and then she'll call you, and you can come in, and we need to hear from you. That is the reason why we're here tonight. But just so you know, this city spends $850,000 a year in traffic control. And we pay for it. You pay for it. Your tax dollars pay for it. So instead of using that $850,000 on, infrastructure, streets, roads, parks, services, it's going into traffic control. And we're really not getting any assistance from anybody. We used to get assistance, we're not getting assistance now. So we have to do something about this traffic. So I wanted to bring that up. It's costing us, and it's growing because Mexicali is only growing, so it's only gonna get worse. So it's costing us close to $1 million a year. This is not going to be a peak hour situation. I know I had mentioned before it was going to be during peak hours. Caltrans has approved it to be this temporary permit because in essence, this is a permit. This is Caltrans' permit to say, go ahead, proceed, you have our blessing on our right of way. They're saying that the cost is going to be about $4.2 million, but they also believe that if they do it. But if we do it, if we go out for bid and we do some of the work, that could probably cost half of that. It could probably cost us 2 years of what we spend on traffic control. Yes, and we do have money already, so we could start on this as soon as staff decides that we can start on it, and the council approves it. There's also not going to be any blockage on Food for Less, so we have to be very careful with the information that we put out there because that's not the case. So part of what is being paid with these 4.2 for now is to have traffic going to the border and then south on Cesar Chavez, but there's going to be a dedicated lane for local traffic, which is where you're going to go from left, east to west, and you'll have access to the Food for Less Plaza as well as Scaroni Road. So you've got Scaroni Road, right? And then you also have that dedicated lane. So that is not the case because now, in order to access Food for Less, you still have to use that one right dedicated lane because otherwise you can't turn into the plaza, right? So that's the lane that's going to stay. So it's absolutely not going to do anything to Food for Less or at the plaza or those business owners there. Let me mention something else. I think that's what my notes were here. So we have to figure out what we want to do as business owners, as a city. This is a problem that keeps getting put off. The reason why we now have this, this is what I wanted to add. So here's, in essence, especially during holiday seasons when we have more traffic. So say that when we have more traffic, it's going to be pushed out, maybe even past Walmart. So what happens if that occurs? So it goes into county, but guess what? It's on Highway 111, so it's Caltrans. So now it's not Calexico problem; it's the state's problem. So maybe when the state has that problem, they'll start looking at it seriously to fund that overpass. So all of this is to kind of get that. We need the county, we need the state, we need others to come in and assist with this because this is a regional problem. It's not a Calexico problem. We all know that this traffic is generated by commuters that come in to work, to go to school, and then we have visitors from other parts of the country on both sides that cross through our city. So this will also help the businesses that are in the downtown area and the Grand Plaza outlets because it'll allow the people coming in from Mexicali to go to the Grand Plaza, to go straight to downtown, and we're not going to have this issue with the traffic. So it helps our city. It'll leave the shopping here. It'll save us on traffic control. It's not going to eliminate traffic control, but it will save us on traffic control because there are going to be some automatic barriers that are going to be put out at certain time where we don't have to put traffic control there anymore, like I said, and we're sharing this problem with the state and with the county so that they can come in and provide some funding. But the problem here is that we do have, and we'll say it, we'll say what it is. There's certain businesses that are impacted and there's certain businesses that are not. And we need to hear from both of you. Because if you're impacted by this traffic and you don't speak up, it's going to be hard for you to come later and say, hey, this traffic is killing my business if you'd never spoke up. So that's why we're here today. We need to hear from you. and the residents as well, because we also know that there's residents that, you know, work in El Centro and they drive down and they can't get to their homes on Pauline Avenue because of the traffic congestion. So that's, and Highway 111, there would also be some changes there as well as 98 to make sure that the local traffic is able to move around freely. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that we've been doing, the Mayor Pro Tem Calderon and myself, is that we've been reaching out, or businesses have been reaching out to the city, and we've met with 3 businesses in the downtown area, on Imperial Avenue, for assistance. And it's one of those things where it's a never-ending story. We've, with the assistance of Lieutenant Carbajal, we've tried to find temporary solutions, especially during the holidays, to how to have businesses travel from their business onto Imperial Avenue, because a lot of these businesses are being used as sentries, like Jack in the Box and Ueta. And we're working with them, and we're working with a lot of them that are there on how we can remedy a problem, and we're trying to find solutions. So we're going to continue working with our businesses, with our residents, with the people, and with ICTC and SCAG regarding to how we can remedy, make this a safe travel to and from Calexico and Mexicali. And everybody has to jump into the bandwagon, county-wise. And I do agree, we need El Centro, we need Hoville and these other cities, well, Brawley, to assist us in funding. And we do need traffic controllers. That's one of the issues that we have out there, especially on Imperial Avenue. There's a lot of road rage going on Imperial Avenue because of traffic issues. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do right now, is just remedy, find a solution. And it's not going to be a quick solution. It's going to take time. It's going to take the assistance from our merchants on the downtown area, on Imperial Avenue especially, and our residents. So input is very, very important. So after I'm done here, we're going to go back to public comments, and I'm sure we have some other comments. Can I do that or no? Yeah?
Mayor.
Okay.
Mine?
Yes.
Turn again? All right, tonight I'm not going to hear and sit and debate and everything. We actually had a meeting with John Garcia that represents Caltrans and David Aguirre that represents ICTC on the 23rd of this month. We're fortunate enough that we have David Aguirre here. So David, can you join us and tell us, kind of give our citizens a little briefing of how this started, and so they can understand where we're headed? Sorry to put you on the spot, but.
This mic on? Well, good evening, members of the council. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and members of the public, good evening. Thank you for being here. The city is absolutely correct. I think collectively, we all want to hear from the public in terms of what the impacts are to your business by virtue of the port traffic. This has been an initiative that has been underway for a long time, ever since the port of entry was going to move over to Cesar Chavez Boulevard. We knew there was going to have to be an adjustment to the way the traffic moved to the port of entry. In anticipation of that, we started working collaboratively to kind of evaluate what our solutions could be. Hence why there was a circulation plan that was developed way back when, to ultimately provide some information and give some recommendations to help us deal with that. Since then, it's been an effort of ultimately looking for solutions to try to implement that. It's been a slow process, but nonetheless, I mean, I think the commitment has been to really kind of try to figure out solutions in that capacity. Recently, there has been a renewed emphasis to really kind of push to try to figure out a solution to try to move traffic in that capacity, which would be moving it over to Cesar Chavez Boulevard, freeing up Highway 111, which is ultimately was the initial plan from the beginning. So there's been more drill down efforts, engineering efforts that have gone into evaluating what that potentially looks like. And nonetheless, regardless of how you really kind of look at it, it's a complex issue. It is a regional issue. We understand that. ICTC is prepared to help the city kind of try to navigate that. We have undertaken a number of initiatives to ultimately try to solve that issue, but it's not an easy issue. We simultaneously with the city, we're also exploring securing grant funds to do a lot of planning efforts to try to figure this out. Because it's not an easy thing to really kind of try to tackle. So at the end of the day, we're committed to that. We're committed to exploring opportunities. I know our counterpart SCAG is also looking at opportunities to really kind of try to better the situation, look for opportunities to better the downtown area, look for opportunities to better the Highway 111 corridor area. So there's a lot of joint efforts that are really going to go into it, and the reality is that it's going to take us all to really kind of come up with solutions to figure this out, including yourselves and the business community and the residents of Calexico, including our partners in Mexico, our partners at GSA and CBP. It is going to be a collaborative effort, and collectively, I think we can ultimately come up with solutions, but it is going to take time, and we're going to have to work together to ultimately solve that. So this has been something that has been going on for a long time. Really trying to figure out solutions to try to implement something that would potentially work to help make traffic more efficient and make it better for the community to be able to thrive and move around, especially in the downtown area of Calexico. So hopefully that provides some context in terms of what the efforts have been. Ever since I've been around, I know I've been working on some of these efforts. So it's been about at least 10 years, if not further.
How many?
10?
Thank you.
This study that came out this summer, when you said that the efforts are to better the flow of traffic, that's what this study is, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
It's meant to help.
And it's
the
meant
flow
to help the flow of traffic so
to the
that
port of entry.
we can all get around, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what is being recommended by Caltrans.
I would say it's a recommendation that was ultimately decided by everyone. I wouldn't necessarily pin it 100% on Caltrans, but it is an effort that was ultimately decided by everyone to try to move the flow of traffic and make it easier for the city to be able to move easier. So as the council has noted, Caltrans does have the primary corridors that are associated with it, 111 and 98. So realistically, anything that happens or any traffic flow that is adjusted has to be approved by Caltrans.
Right, so this short-term plan is in the best interest of our city, right? In essence, that's what you just said, basically? That's what you said.
I mean, it's hard to really say that. I think...
It's the recommendation, right?
Yeah, it's the recommendation that was ultimately provided. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen until it's potentially implemented.
We don't know until we try something different.
Right. So I think collectively, whether it be ICTC, SCAG, Caltrans, the city, all of the representatives and the residents of the city who were ultimately reached out to during that time frame when all of these heavy lift efforts were ultimately taking place, I think collectively everyone felt that this was the best path. I mean, in terms of implementation, if you implement it, does it guarantee that it's ultimately the best solution? I'm not sure until it happens. But, there's also simultaneous long-term efforts that are being undertaken as well, right? So us as ICTC, we're pursuing dollars to possibly complete a corridor plan for 111 and Cesar Chavez. That'll kind of drill down into what kinds of improvements we need to figure out to ultimately try to solve this long-term. It just gives us more planning opportunities, gives us more opportunities to develop that infrastructure. So there's a lot of work that really needs to go into this. There's a lot of work that already has gone into this, but there's a lot of work that really needs to go into this long term to really kind of develop solutions that are, I guess, in the best interest of the city and the community and folks that are moving across the border on a regular basis.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, that's why I think it would have been really important to also include the long-term plan, so the community could, have something to put into perspective of all the planning that goes into it. But here's a short-term plan, and it even outlines 10 months, how long it could take to potentially implement to have a change. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here.
course, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Revere.
Can I ask you something while you're up there?
Sure.
Just, were you, well, at least this is what was told to me, because I know many people have thought like, well, what about going through, you know, continuing Cesar Chavez north through where Santo Tomas is and all of that. And I'm aware that when the engineers came last year, they saw all those possibilities and they saw it above as well. And they figured that because we have the railroad and then we have a canal or two going through that area, that it just makes it a lot more difficult. So ultimately, my point is, and I don't know if you agree, that this is pretty much after looking at all the venues or all the possibilities, this is what Caltrans is recommending and approving that we do on their right-of-way, correct? Regardless of whether it's something that maybe we want as a city or, you know, collectively with our business owners on Imperial Avenue, this is what the engineers have prepared for the city and said, this is what we believe will work. This is as far as traffic flow, and this is what we're approving you do with our right-of-way, correct?
So I guess there's multiple answers to that. As it pertains to the long-term solution, there is a proposed long-term solution that helps alleviate some of the issues and the congestion that you get, especially at 2nd Street, concentrated on 2nd Street. In terms of the short-term or temporary solution, or whatever we want to call it, that ultimately provides some potential benefit, and I say potential because we don't know what ultimately ends up happening until it happens. But it provides an opportunity for immediate relief potentially by virtue of restructuring how the traffic moves into the port. And all of that has been vetted by Caltrans. Now, if the city would like to explore different opportunities, you know, we're all here for you, and we'd be happy to try to support you in that regard. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't do something different if you wanted to. The short-term solution is something that you can potentially implement in rather short period of time. So you can potentially evaluate that and look to implement it rather quickly. And that's why there's an added emphasis into that effort, because it does present that to the city without significant investment into infrastructure. So it does allow you that opportunity. Again, there's still various types of approaches that we can consider. We can, like I said, we're also looking at possibly doing a corridor plan for the 111 corridor, which is in the heart of downtown Calexico, in addition to Cesar Chavez Boulevard. That could present some other opportunities. You know, we're going to hopefully get a grant to ultimately carry that effort out, but there'll be engineers and planners that ultimately look at that and could provide us some additional alternatives, which we could collectively pursue. But there's, you know, I would say there's opportunities to continue to pursue different avenues to ultimately try to solve this situation. Now, the short-term version of it is something that could potentially be implemented rather quickly, in a sense. Anything long-term, it requires planning efforts. There's possible right-of-way acquisition. There's engineering. There's obviously construction, and then there's acquisition of significant dollars to ultimately bring that to fruition. So there's a lot of efforts that ultimately need to go into whatever something else looks like, and especially if you're talking about capital investment.
What do you mean by the corridor? When you mentioned the 111 corridor, would that still, whatever the plan is, would that still impact, per se, the Imperial Avenue businesses on the west side?
So, I mean, there's multiple efforts that are being undertaken now, right? So there's currently an effort that's being undertaken by SCAG to evaluate the 111 corridor as a whole for potential like active transportation improvements, things like that. Corridor, I mean, we evaluate the corridor as a whole. It doesn't mean anything's going to change. I mean, we just evaluate the corridor as a whole and how it collectively moves together. So that's always part of the plan. We don't want to necessarily leave out a section of the corridor because of, you know, potential impacts that it could have from other corridors, so SR 98, or, I mean, you can go as far back as Cole Road or Jasper or Heber Road. So when we really start looking at corridors, we start evaluating the entire puzzle to make sure that we're taking into account all of the potential impacts that could influence how traffic ultimately moves into, 111 or 98 or Cesar Chavez and so forth.
I'm gonna add, is that plan doesn't exist right now?
It does not
No.
exist.
How long
I'm
does
trying
it-
to make it exist.
Right, but is it being worked on?
It is.
No,
It is
right?
not. No.
Okay. Typically, how long does a plan like that take?
It would probably take a while.
Once
I
it
would say.
becomes something in existence, right? So it doesn't exist, but it's in the thoughts,
Yes.
brainstorming,
Yeah.
we'll call it. Okay, so there's no, just want to clarify that, because I think that's kind of what you were under the impression that there was a plan. There's no plan. So I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
For her and the general public, because it could be, I
Yeah.
think it wasn't clear.
Yeah, no, and my apologies if I led you in that direction. I mean, there is, obviously the short-term version, there is a long-term version that is ultimately considered in this capacity, but there's also other potential efforts that we plan to undertake in conjunction with the city to try to develop additional alternative solutions if there are any.
Right, but, so I also want, and correct me or add in, chime in.
Sure.
ICTC it's not completely the responsibility of your agency, correct? to
That
do
is correct,
Right,
yes.
okay. So let's just clarify that. It's not this agency's responsibility, but they have an amazing director and staff, and they really do everything they can for all the cities, not just Calexico. And that's why what you're hearing tonight is coming from a department and a staff member who truly gives it all, and I've seen it. But in the sections where I clarify, it's important for that information to be clear, that it does not fall on it's not the ICTC's responsibility to figure out our city traffic issues. They are here to assist and provide information for grant opportunities or monies that can be used, but it's not their responsibility. They're an agency that we can work with and/or collaborate with, and they've taken on projects in our city like the transit center, because no one here was getting it done, and that's something else. But anyway, it's not the responsibility to figure out the traffic. It's the council's responsibility to figure that out.
I would say we're here to support you as a regional agency. We're here to support you. We're willing to help as much as we can, and you have our commitment to be able to do so. It's not something that we can ultimately implement. You're absolutely correct, but we are here to support you and try to figure out solutions to try to deal with the situation, because we understand the gravity of the situation. It's a big issue for the city, obviously on a regular basis, and we understand that. So we're committed to exploring different opportunities to try to help the city solve those issues.
Right, so I do want, you said a phrase that caught my attention, that this short-term plan is something that could provide immediate relief. And that's how I see this. So I am very content that this special meeting is happening tonight and that we're all participating. It's important to discuss this because it is a big issue and our community has been asking for this. So I'm very grateful that we're up here discussing it, and I'm very grateful that you came down, Mr. Aguirre.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate that.
David, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
And I know you're the best one to answer them, so don't think we're trying to grill.
I wouldn't say that.
But you're just the best person and most knowledgeable. You mentioned you have 10 years of knowledge of going on, so I'll make it 3 quick questions. That when Cesar Chavez was built, was the intent of building that road to move the entire traffic there?
So
Was that the initial
Yeah, so
intent?
Cesar Chavez existed, and it was widened because of the anticipated move of the port.
And do you remember how much the city spent on that?
I don't off the top of my head, but I can get back to you on that.
It's like, I don't know how many millions.
I don't remember.
Okay, so that was the intent to move it there originally. That's why the city spent millions of taxpayer dollars to do that. But, okay, so, you mentioned there's always alternative plans, because there are. We could build whatever we can think of, right? If we have the
Sure.
money,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Which we don't. But realistically speaking, and since this is your expertise on roads and transportation, any alternative plan aside from this one, how long do you think would take to complete, realistically speaking?
It really depends on what you're doing. So if you're looking at, traffic control adjustments, those could potentially be done rather quickly, because
Like
they're-
this one,
like-
which is
like
what
this
we're
one, right?
looking at
Because
now, yeah.
You're using technology, you're using, construction cones, you're using things like that. It's not necessarily significant capital infrastructure. When you're considering capital infrastructure, that maybe doesn't exist, so you have to create it, and essentially kind of plan for it. That generally takes years.
Years.
to develop.
Like the New River took us, what, 15 years? I think, yeah, so it's a lot of years. So I just want the people to know that we're not talking about 1 or 2 years or 3. We're probably talking close to 5, 10 years if we get lucky.
Depending on what you ultimately try to build. I mean, it could be existing infrastructure and you're modifying it, so maybe it's a little bit faster. If it's nothing and you're trying to build something that's not there, that's another thing. That could take
And then
longer.
just one last question.
Sure.
Since you're in charge of the public buses, the transportation,
Yes.
do they go through Imperial Avenue, or do you keep them away because of all the traffic congestion?
We cross on, what is the street? We do cross, but we don't use Imperial Avenue 111.
Because of the traffic?
It is easier to move without it. So we don't generally use that corridor. We'll use Scaroni or Imperial Avenue, and then we do cross 111, and then we use Rockwood for the most part to essentially kind of get out. Once you get
Because of the traffic.
And when creating your circulation or your routes, is it based on data?
Yes, data in terms of where folks are being picked up, time, where do people want to go, things like that. Where are, the larger trip generators? So there's lots of factors that ultimately go into it. So yes, data is definitely one of them.
So, but your route tries to avoid that area.
If there's an opportunity for us to avoid significant traffic impacts, for us to be able to move and provide a better experience for transit users, we will certainly try to do that.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
No more questions? No?
Thanks, don't leave.
Yeah, you felt like you were in court, huh? 20 questions. Moving along to public comments. Okay.
Carlos Fonseca.
My name is Carlos Fonseca. I live at 1821 Elena Place, and I have a business at 115 East 2nd Street in downtown Calexico. I'm fairly new to the area. Okay, I started in November, so I did kind of witness the traffic that happened during Christmas time and such. I really would like to mention that my business per se has not been impacted because I'm barely getting there, but I'm sure people from California Market and I'm sure for the people from other existing businesses there hate the traffic, right? Because in order for us to get from our house to our business, it probably takes about 30 minutes, 45 minutes just to get down there. So my idea, and I know it's probably in a nutshell, I'm just gonna mention it real quick. I think the huge problem there is your 2nd Street, the little piece between Imperial and Cesar Chavez. You have 2 ways of traffic there. I really think you guys should consider doing a 1 lane. Either take, for instance, who has less businesses? Cesar Chavez. Have that one go north, right? Because the people, or no, I'm sorry, have that go south because you want the money from Mexicali staying here. So you want them kind of going into downtown, or I don't want them to go through Cesar Chavez because there really isn't what are they gonna buy? Garcia's not there no more. You just have a bunch of houses. It's like there's really no commerce on the Cesar Chavez Boulevard. The commerce is on the Imperial, right? So if we can try to make traffic go one way on these streets, I think that would help tremendously. I don't think a corridor is going to help. I think we're gonna run into problems of people smashing into it because, oh, I didn't know it was that way, or I didn't know we were doing 2 lanes today, I didn't know we were doing 3 lanes today. Like, dude, I don't know, sorry for my language, but people here, I don't think they're ready for something like that. I think they're gonna hit it, and it's gonna cost more money to upkeep it. Another thing I think you guys should look at is maybe even Rockwood Avenue, have that a one-way street as well. Try to alleviate the congestion, because as the gentleman from the ICTC says, they don't even go down Imperial. So that should be a real eye popper for you guys, right? Let's try to start making Rockwood, Pauline a one-way up and down, because I think that will also alleviate the people that live down there, the people that go down there just for daily stuff. Because again, you do have most of the people that they're leaving, right? So they're going back home or they're coming. So you're gonna have to find a happy place for both of them, right? People that are leaving and the people that are trying to go buy something in downtown or what have you. So I hope it gets fixed, right? Because honestly, it is a big problem. I would have liked to see more information, like Ms. Helena said. I would have liked to see the long-term solution, because if you're just coming and talking about short-term solution, right? So, yeah, I don't agree with that. I think we should look at the long-term solution, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Fonseca.
Thank you.
Alexis Rangel.
So I'm not a business owner, but I am a resident, and I will say, just like the gentleman that was up here, I do avoid that area during certain times because I know the traffic and the congestion is going to be horrible. But I think it's very important that the elephant in the room is we have our fire chief, our police chief, and our traffic supervisor here. I'd love to hear. I mean, I operate from a place where I don't know, I'm not the professional, but maybe we could hear a little bit about what they think, how this is going to affect them, whether they think that little, what's it called? I don't know what it's called, but that metal piece, if it's going to be helpful or not. Also with traffic, is it logistically going to affect that department? How would it affect that department? So that's just me asking those questions as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. We'll probably have later on the police chief or the lieutenant say a few words.
Louis Wong.
Members of the City Council, it's an honor to be here and speak in front of you and to tell you my true feeling about these traffic issues. Since 1974, June, I've been went to work at National Market, and every month, every year, I've been going to the same area and work. Neither I work for my father-in-law or I start my little business. I started my business since 1984 until the Yum Yum restaurant closed at 2020. And by tonight, I see all this information. I think it's a good deal for us because we are the person that know how this traffic affect us. For example, when I was at the Little Yum Yum restaurant at address 845, I do good business too because we have less traffic on that close to Golden Dragon, that area. So when we get close to the border, the traffic build up really fast. So when the traffic build up, then we see business drop. Nobody can come in, and customer from El Centro come to do business with us. They say, "Oh, I'm stuck in the traffic," and then we have to tell them we have to use different road, Pauline Avenue, and show up in our restaurant. So I don't know much about how to solve this big problem, but I truly believe when we can figure out move the traffic away from the Imperial Avenue, going to be benefit our city. When things happen, benefit our city, going to be good for our city and also good for the county too, because people wanted to come and get out here, do the business. And I invite a lot of my friends from Imperial Avenue. Some of them are business owners, some of them are property owner. Look around, we have quite a few here. If you don't want to come up and speak, please stand up. So our city council.
Excuse me, sir, you need to direct the city council. You can't address the audience.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so that's what I would like to say. And I want to say thank you. Up to this point, we have a group of city council persons really working on these issues. And some of my business owner call me, tell me to relay this information and news to your group. Thank you again.
Alejandro Hernandez.
Good evening, City Council. 1420 Van Buren and a business owner at 1010 South Imperial Avenue. I do want to make a comment. Every day, I'm there at my shop from 8:30 to 5:30, sometimes 6, 7 o'clock. I leave my shop. I exit my front door. I'm 100 yards from 98 on 111 on Imperial Avenue, and it's always, there's traffic. If we were to funnel traffic, we just have, one thing that I would like you guys to consider is, if you have traffic going southbound down Cesar Chavez, at 7 o'clock, there's still line towards Robinson Ford, maybe Walmart. Where's that traffic gonna lead? Where's that traffic gonna end up if you funnel it all through Cesar Chavez? You know, there needs to be more options, more, I would have preferred there being the long-term plan, because I had an idea, there's an empty property, you know, do eminent domain off Cesar Chavez north. You know, there's other options that the city has. Why didn't they provide that to solve this issue? Because this is a real big issue. I mean, it's hard for me to service customers across town. We don't know where to cross through sometimes. We have a hard time. And that traffic begins sometimes at 1:30, all the way up to 7. So, yeah, just hopefully the city and Caltrans are able to figure something out, because it is affecting local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more public comments.
Thank you.
Before we go on, Mr. Villegas, can you put up page 5 back on the monitors? Page 5?
You have to push play and then stop it at page 5.
And this is just to answer some of the questions that came up, to try to capture the Mexican consumer and so forth. If you look at 111, there's also traffic that is going to be allowed to come from the port into 111 northbound. You see that green arrow? So all those individuals will be able to go to any of the businesses that we have currently in the Imperial Avenue. So it's one lane for Imperial and one lane for Cesar Chavez that goes northbound. So just for everybody's sake, we are still going to be able to capture the customers that come from Mexicali. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Calderon. I'd like to hear from either the chief or the lieutenant. I know that we've been attending quite a bit of meetings with the lieutenant at the downtown area, so.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have met with the public and businesses. Obviously, the police department's goal is always to be business friendly. We hear them out and we're trying to find solutions. My lieutenant is getting a proposition put out to be reviewed as far as ways that we can help the businesses while maintaining and traffic flow and obeying the laws. Obviously, this traffic's been going on for a long time, and the population has increased. 1994, the population of Calexico was 16,000, 17,000. Now we're looking at 38,000. Population of Mexicali was 700,000 back then, and now it's 1.3, 1.4 million. So obviously, this is something that we need to address, and we need to start having these conversations and talking about this, because the traffic's not going to get better. Whether the short-term solution, we got to start somewhere, and the short-term solution is a start, and we need to look at what the long-term is. And it's not an easy answer. There's a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts to all these functions. You have to deal with the railroad, you got to deal with the canals, you got to deal with state routes, while not affecting the local businesses. Because again, it's always been my belief that when the business prospers, the city prospers, and every department, we all come up together. We all fall together, or we come up together. So we need to work on something that is going to help the whole city, the whole county, and it all flows upward and helps the state. So that's my opinion on it, and we're open to work with everybody and to come up with a solution.
Thank you, Chief. Lieutenant, these meetings that we've been attending, any comments?
I think I speak loud enough, so I'll speak all right.
Sure.
I'll echo what the chief said.
But the people watching won't be able to hear you. The people watching on the live stream, yeah.
I'll echo what the chief says. City of Calexico has a traffic problem. Customs estimates about 30,000 plus vehicles cross daily, 20,000 pedestrians cross daily. But we all know about the traffic problem. This proposed Caltrans plan, I think it will help the traffic flow. The other option is we do nothing and we continue to have this traffic problem. Like you guys mentioned, we spend over $850,000 in traffic control, and in reality, it takes even more resources. Just this past weekend, we had not only the entire traffic control team on duty managing traffic, but we had the entire patrol team reference to complaints about vehicles driving on the shoulder. So it takes an immense portion of our resources for this traffic issue. So yes, in my opinion, this will help the traffic flow. Any other questions for me?
One more thing, Mayor, is that one thing I want to point out, the city of Brawley created a bypass, and I think that's one of the biggest concerns they had, that the traffic used to go down the center of Brawley, and they created a bypass that goes all the way around the north end, and Brawley's prospering. So the fact that we're just bypassing 111, I don't necessarily believe that it's going to affect the businesses. I think it's going to help out, because there's going to be a learning curve, but people will know that now they can get to the business in the downtown. They'll draw more customers that way.
Thank you. Anything from our traffic supervisor? We're good. Okay, moving along to I'm sorry.
And just mentioning, because Mr. Rangel had mentioned, having fire and police up here, and like I agree with Lieutenant Carvajal and Chief Orozco. On a fire standpoint of view, we couldn't thank Traffic Division enough for allowing our emergency vehicles to cross Imperial Avenue, Grant Street, Highway 98, wherever it gets blocked off, right? Even on 2nd Street going to the port of entry. And again, 33% of our calls are to the port of entry for ambulance transfers and so on and so forth. But without the traffic division doing their job and allowing for emergency vehicles, not only fire apparatus, but police vehicles, the traffic controllers, I want to thank them for doing that continuous hard work. And then we are moving forward with the traffic study. Now you're not going to have that blockage on Imperial Avenue, getting to Cesar Chavez, because again, we do have a West Side station that just today we're talking about increasing operations. If this were, because we get cut off most part of the day when traffic is running down Cesar Chavez or Imperial Avenue. You have one station with one engine with 3 personnel for 15,000 people on that west side of town. So are we going to increase operations because of the traffic? We might need to look at different options, modeling options on staffing. But again, I just wanted to thank the traffic division for doing an outstanding job, as they've been doing for years on out, so.
Can I ask a question? Or a question and also kudos. I am really happy to hear that you are looking at different avenues to make sure that your response times, I'm sure that's why you're doing it, that you maintain your response times, you know, within measure. I love to hear that because I always say that we have the quickest response times, and that's actually one of the concerns that I've had with this traffic issue. So to hear that you guys are being proactive, I appreciate that, and I'm sure anyone receiving medical treatment also appreciates that. But I would like to hear from our traffic supervisor, the people on the ground, what experiences are you having? Is it hard? Do you guys have a high turnover rate with staff? That's kind of, you know, it's important to shed light on the intricacies of this situation.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I'm not a policymaker, but we are understaffed in the traffic division. I don't know if the $850,000 is accurate this current year. I believe it might be a little bit less. We've lowered down on overtime. However, the turnaround time, because we have contract employees that can't go over 990 hours of fiscal year, because of the high season, I had some come in June, and their last week is next week. So less than 6 months on the turnaround on staff. Keep in mind, and I want to thank the chief, which I call my landlord, Chief Contreras, has taken us into his office because we don't have, currently we don't have an office. Our office is down. But it's good to know that we're being taken care of. We have a place to come in and have our lunch breaks, our breaks and so forth come in, because these kids, the majority are kids, come out to 120 degrees during the summer, where it's probably 200 degrees while they're standing on the asphalt. First and foremost, as their supervisor, my concern is to have them be safe, as well as our community. These fast sentry lines that are happening are unsafe because the people making line get really upset, and it causes, help me out, Chief, the irritation that people have been in line for so long. And so there's measures that we've sought that some business communities don't like, but we've done it for the safety of the staff and the safety of the drivers coming in as well. We don't want the intersections being blocked, just like the chief said, because of safety vehicles coming in. And we know that 5th Street and Imperial is one of the busiest. Why? Not only because of the traffic, but because we have a school not too far away from there that has high traffic itself, because a lot of our schools don't have parking. So people are driving around. Also, something that hasn't helped lately is the CBP checkpoints. CBP checkpoints have been coming up Monday, Tuesdays, even Sunday mornings. Today we had a delay. A semi-truck was carrying 2 vehicles, and traffic was stopped for over 15 minutes. Completely stopped for about 15 minutes. And people don't know what's going on unless you're in the front, and now a lot of social media posts are telling you, hey, you know what, this is blocking traffic. And that's how people find out. But by the time, like I said, going back to my staff.
Oh, but can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before we go back to that one? Because I do have a question on what you just said. And this is a multi-department question. I've always wondered what happens when there's a situation within the barricades. Because I've never seen one until the CPOA posted that there was something going on in the middle of the barricades. Shout out to the dismantlers right there where Mr. Virgen's business is. How do they get out? What do you guys do? How do you guys help them get out of those situations? Or you get someone to come move the barricade in the middle of the night, because that's when what do you guys do?
Well, we have radios. We work along with each other. And so just like the chief said, communication. We know the ambulance is coming because we either hear it or see it, or dispatch will let us know. So we come together as a team to work on, depending on the incident that is upon us. And unfortunately, the holiday season is over and traffic continues to be long. But not only that, my staff has to respond to traffic accidents when there's a traffic accident. Monday mornings, like last week, I had a call from Mr. Coyne. You know, he was stuck on the other side of traffic for a while. I don't have staff in the morning because I would rather have them in the afternoon when traffic is longer. But I can only give so many hours to staff, and these are all contract employees. I only have four permanent part-time employees. The rest are on contract. So it's really hard. Before, in the past, we used to have IVC student workers. Nobody wants to be a student worker anymore. Everybody wants to get a paycheck. So it's a domino effect with different situations.
So with this high turnover rate, you're training staff every 6 months?
Or less.
Or
yes.
less? Wow,
Yes.
that's not efficient. Wow.
No, and then you have to consider that we have the meters downtown. So what's the priority? Is it the traffic or is it the meters? You know, we can't staff everything right now because we don't have enough staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena. You know, kudos to the traffic enforcement out there, because one of the things that she had mentioned, these kids, right? They wear many hats. They hear the sirens and they know how to react. When they have some form of criminal activities going on, they're right there not securing the scene, but they're right there blocking traffic. So it's an automatic doings for them. I know that we're working on possibly hiring more traffic controllers, 2 or 3, or looking into hunters or whatnot. But definitely we need part-timers. I mean, we need, because they stay with us for about 6 months and all of a sudden they're trained and they leave. So we definitely need to hire our part-timers as traffic controllers. That's all I have to say. Do we have any other comments? Oh, before him? No, is there one before him or after him?
No more.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Jonathan Rangel.
Good evening. I'm here representing CPOA. So one of the things that most people did talk about was infrastructure. I love how you guys express the short-term plan. Where's the long-term? I think as all stakeholders are here, at least the majority of us are, we need to start thinking in depth what's going to be the long-term solution. Having short-term solutions is great, but at the end, what's going to benefit the business owners, what's going to benefit the residents, what's going to benefit police, what's going to benefit fire, what can benefit traffic. One of the things that I did not see on the expenses is all stakeholders involved. You guys just spoke about infrastructure. What about manning? What about manpower? What about extra traffic controllers? How are we going to get our extra bodies under when we have a collision at this corridor and PD needs to respond? So how about more officers? How about more fire department personnel so they can literally be fully tasked or have a full personnel on the west side and the east side, and we can better manage and have better logistical for our first responders. Also, another thing you guys didn't touch on was, how about getting the port directors involved in this? I know Chief Orozco has a very good relationship with the port director, U.S. Border Customs. What about the Mexico side? We all know that I believe the National Guard is now taking care of the aduana right as you cross over. But sometimes they also slow down the traffic as it is, which creates the backflow into us. So we have to understand all these different perspectives or different things that are out there that are going to impede us. So a simple plan, a short-term plan, is great in theory, it may benefit, but somebody just told me that it's going to create a Band-Aid for us. Band-Aid is a short-term solution. We need something that's going to pretty much heal the wound. Again, the traffic controller falls on Calexico. I think we have to, ICTC, thank you for being here. And I think their organization has a mission and they're really helpful, but at the same time, a lot of the commerce doesn't stay in Calexico. It goes to El Centro. So where are we with our department heads, with our council over there? Are we going to get some help from them? We got to get everybody involved at the same time, present that information back to the stakeholders, which is everybody that's in this room, plus everybody else that's watching. The traffic controller supervisor expressed a really interesting factor, and so did you, Mayor. These businesses that are in this congested area, how they're using or funneling traffic through their business to create their own fast lane. Uncalled for, unsatisfactory. It creates a bottleneck at Imperial Avenue. It creates pissed off drivers that in return create road rage, like you mentioned. Well, guess who responds to that? Patrol does. So we have to take everything into consideration. Maybe going back to the city ordinance and looking over it, is there something that say that they cannot do this? Or maybe getting some revenue for us. If they want to start doing this without our, as far as the city, our authorization, well, let's start making some money off of it. Let's start getting an officer for it. Let's start getting some fire equipment. Let's start getting more traffic controllers. I mean, I know sometimes money's hard and we don't even have enough for delineators or cones out here. Just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective Rangel. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been working, or we had a meeting with the Mexican Customs, the general that heads that. So that's how they kind of widened the second portion of getting into Mexico. It used to be further to the right, but they had widened it to the left. And the chief is setting up, we talked about setting up a meeting with U.S. Customs. Not sure if you had made that phone call or not, but that's definitely a plan. And regarding to the finance portion of it, we've kind of been working with some businesses. So we're trying to get on top of it. So and I thank you for the suggestions and the comments. Any other? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to add, I was taking some notes on the comments that the public made. One of the comments was that, why don't we go back north like where Santo Tomas and do an eminent domain? That option was already looked at by Caltrans, and it's not a possibility because of the eminent domain is not the problem. The problem are the two canals that go there, the water plant, the water treatment plant, the two canals, and the railroad, which is the number one problem. The one at the street by Santo Tomas, yeah, that one. So that was already discarded as a possibility by Caltrans. The other one was, if we move everything to Cesar Chavez, the assumption would be that if you're moving everything over there, then the queue is only going to be pushed back further. But the proposal is that Cesar Chavez will have 3 lanes now. So now it has 2. Going southbound. Imperial Avenue has 2 going southbound. So Cesar Chavez would now have 3 with the proposal. So it would be wider, it would have 3, and it would be 1 less than the 2 going. But part of the solution, it's not just doing this modification, but like David Aguirre from ICTC said, the other part is having the meetings with the Mexican aduana. And this is where they come in. This is where our other representatives come in, our ICTC representatives that have a very good relationship with them. They worked with them on the East Port of Entry. And we can just ask for peak hours, right? From certain hours to certain hours, if they could open more lanes or whatever it is. But the conversations will be there. Because in reality, we could build the best bridge and overpass ever in existence, but if they're not moving people through, then nothing's going to happen, right? So it's very obvious that we need to have a conversation with our Mexican counterparts. And I do believe that, aside from we do have a good relationship with them, they have, and most of, the people crossing south during peak hours are their residents. So they'd be doing a service to their own residents by helping us out. So that's just one of those are some of the comments that I wrote down. And then the other one, listening to the chief of police, the police officer association vice president, the chief, the fire chief, the traffic supervisor, the lieutenant, the gentleman from the Imperial County Transportation Commission, this benefits us. This is the best thing to do. I understand it's a short term, but the reason why there was a short term is because it's doable now we can implement it now. The funding is now. Because I'll tell you right now, the long term, I saw it, and the long term is an overpass just going through 2nd Street. So it's going to be the same thing. You're still going to move traffic away. So might as well do it now. I understand there's some businesses that will be impacted. We can always work with the businesses. We can always figure out other ways to do this. Mainly, we know it would be like, not to point anybody out, but it would be the Casas de Cambio. And then we do have a duty free. And you know, like you said, some businesses are using this as a fast lane. And it is causing more trouble to our city because, and not to mention these, you know, some of them, if don't even contribute to the city because they're duty free, so they're not charging taxes. So, you know, we can't cater something that is for the benefit of an entire city for one business that doesn't contribute to the city. So it's just, I want to put that out there. And so those are my 2 cents. And I think that we need to continue these discussions, obviously, and not just leave them there, not just leave it here, but have ongoing meetings to finally make a decision on what we're going to do. Because the money is there, the plan is there, the permit has been approved by Caltrans, so now it's just a thing of getting it approved by the 5 people sitting up here.
I do have a question, if I may. Yes. Chief, and I don't know if you want to, I'm curious, because it's been coming out a lot, the road rage situations. So is there a lot of cutting? Like, do you guys turn that into money when people cut? Like, do you guys cite them? Do you take pictures of their license plates? Or what happens when someone, like, cuts the line? Or do they ask, or how does it work?
So generally, we get reports of people driving on the shoulders along 111 north of 98. And so we'll dispatch officers. We are real good about doing special details on the weekends. Looking for DUI drivers. And so like last weekend, for example, we had basically a whole team out there stopping traffic, people driving along the shoulder, which creates a dust cloud, makes it a hazard for other motorists that can't see, and they get pulled over and they get a regular traffic ticket.
But when the traffic controllers, because I know not only have they gotten, unfortunately, into accidents, because of people cutting or not paying attention to commands, what do they do? Because I know you guys have the technology to take photos of license plates. Do they cite them if they cut?
No, generally right now we would have to establish some kind of ordinance where, like, for example, blocking the box is something that we could look into.
Wait, what?
It's called blocking the box, where some cities, what they do is if you block the intersection, an LPR will take your picture and then you can get a citation in the mail. That's something that we would have to establish an ordinance that would allow us to do that. Other cities, this is out of state that I've seen what they do. New York, I believe, what they do is they actually have a program where people take pictures and a portion of the citation goes back to the person that takes the picture. Now, I don't know if that's legal in California. We would have to do some research about that, but that would incentivize people to take pictures of people that are creating road hazards. Take a picture, it gets submitted into an app, and a citation would go out in the mail, and they would get a small percentage of it.
So currently we don't give citations if people cut in the line. Then we'd have to create an ordinance, is what you're saying?
So currently, right now, it has to be seen by a traffic controller, give a parking ticket, but it has to be an officer that gives a regular moving violation. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, so that's neat. That would be interesting. What you said that other agencies do.
So
taking pictures.
The block the box, I think, would be the best one because it would be monitored 24/7 by a computer that would take pictures of vehicles that get stopped at the intersection, and it would take a picture of their license plate, kind of like a red light camera. If someone runs a red light, takes a picture, and it gets mailed a traffic ticket, something similar to that. Where if they block that intersection, like for example, 5th Street and 111, 98 and 111, Grant and 111, those would be the key intersections where you could install these type of cameras where if the motorist would block that intersection, it would take a picture of the license plate and they would receive a citation in the mail.
Oh, okay. And that would require...
Well, we would have to create an ordinance that would allow for that type of citation. It's like a parking ticket.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any further comments? Okay. From council, any Further comments? Okay. No?
I would just like, before you conclude, I know the agenda doesn't have any action on it, and that wasn't the intent because this is our first outreach, but I would like to maybe commit to having, soon another meeting after Public Works has looked at all the other issues about, the plazas and how we're gonna, go through there and stuff, and have another one fairly soon so that we can get moving on this, because this is probably our city's #1 issue. And we have the money, like I said, we have the money, we have the plan, we just have to have the will. And I just think that I just want to request that we have another one, these meetings soon, to where we can either have the opportunity to act on it, or maybe another town hall type of meeting, and then do something and not just let it fall through the cracks. That's my request.
Okay. Do we have to vote on this, or no? Okay.
No action.
Okay, sorry about that. There being no further business, meeting now is adjourned at 8 p.m. All those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.